Very common question when you're talking about getting into software: should I specialize or generalize? And that question, if you haven't come across it yet, when you do for yourself, what it means is, should I focus in on one technology or maybe a couple technologies and learn those really well and try to go deep on my experience in that tech? Or should I try to learn as much as possible and gain exposure to as many languages as possible? And I think that the argument in favor of generalizing is that then, maybe there are two. One, you're a candidate for more jobs, right? Because you have experience in more technologies. And, all the jobs that are listed, they're in lots of different technologies. So if you have exposure to lots of different technologies, then you're a candidate for as many of those jobs as possible. I think maybe the other argument you could make for generalizing is that it teaches you how to be tech stack agnostic, which is the idea that as a software developer, software engineer, you write software. You don't write a specific language. And I think that concept has some validity, and I think that there are tech stack agnostic people out there. I don't think that I am one of them after 6 years of experience. I have my tech stack that I work in, and as I work more in the industry, I gain exposure to more things, and that helps me to become tech stack agnostic, so that eventually maybe that's in my future. And you see people who've been in the industry for 20 years, and it sure seems like they're tech stack agnostic. And I think that concept doesn't hold true for someone who's just getting into software. I think that you're proving that you can learn new things by getting into software, by going through your training and learning how to program, because it's brand new to you. Probably it's brand new to you. But I think that if you make that your platform, your selling platform to employers, like, hey, I can do anything, I think it's a harder sell. Whereas if you zero in on a couple technologies that make sense together, then it makes you a stronger candidate for those jobs that you are a candidate for. So I had somebody ask me in a call I did, about a week ago. Actually, I asked them, so what is your goal in getting into software? What do you want to do? And their answer was, I want to be in software. And that's fine. But when it comes to looking for jobs and then applying to them, or networking, and someone saying like, hey, I want to help you find a role, what should I be sending your way? That is an answer that gives people very little direction to go in. You know what I'm saying? If I say software, well, I can't send you every role, and you're not a candidate for every role because you haven't told me any tech stack, if that makes sense. And even people who are tech stack agnostic, like, I would be a fit for these kinds of roles like that. That's true. When it comes to picking your tech stack, I think the broadest you would want to go is full stack. So it's very common in boot camps to train people in a front end technology and a back end technology. And then your full stack is the idea, because you can code on the front end and the back end. And so that's full stack. So that's as broad as I would say you should go. So you shouldn't be doing multiple back-end languages and multiple front-end frameworks. I think that would be, too broad, and you're making yourself a weaker candidate. Yeah, so I think in picking your tech stack too, if it's full stack, then it makes sense to make Node your backend language because it's JavaScript. And so, Node has a lot of things about it that you won't learn on the front end, but at least you know how to write JavaScript. And the syntax makes sense, and you know how to do a whole host of the things you can do with JavaScript starting out, right? So, my path has been I started as this front end developer, and I've learned Node along the way. And I've had exposure to Ruby on Rails and PHP, and I did a little bit with both of those, but I wouldn't say I'm a developer in either of those languages because my exposure has been pretty light on both. One other thing I will say is that every single job I've had in my software career, and I think I've had like 6 or 7, I've only had experience in 50% of the tech stack prior to starting. And I didn't do anything to prepare to start. I just started and then learned the other 50% of the tech stack. And I think that that's how you add things to your tool belt. You start with, I'm this, and I focus, and this is all I am. And so I look for jobs that include that. And, not 100% that, right? The tech stack doesn't have to be exactly 100% your tech stack, but you need to have experience in 50% of it. Then you get that job, and you learn the remainder of the tech stack that company uses, and now your tech stack offering, your tech stack tool belt has increased to include that company's tech stack. And I think that's how you go about getting into software, and that's how you structure your learning path.